document about the Coppel's family here. His name is Walter or Walter, and he was married to my dad's sister, Chava, Yeva, and his name was Oppenheimer, but he changed it later on to Ophir, to an Israeli name. He got he ran away he left Germany uh, because he just wanted to live as a, not because of Hitler or anything. So he left already in 1925.
Mm.
He said he wants, and he went to a kibbutz, and he learned to be, he was a specialist with dealing with cows and so on. What do you call it? Like a doctor for animals. What is it?
A veterinarian?
But yeah, he was. What a name! He was a veterinarian, and he also went to Rishon to learn all the agricultural things. So he became a big person in the kibbutz. He was the leader of the kibbutz in Israel.
Which
And-
kibbutz?
Huh?
Which kibbutz?
Yeah, that's a very good question. He originally was in kibbutz Gevat, Gevat. And I used to go there all the time, and I loved it because that was next to the British Air Force base at that time. And I enjoyed to see all the paratroopers jumping down. That was really a marvelous thing for me to watch. And I used to go to the kibbutz as a very young person and enjoyed when I heard the gong. And that means you go eat something. The food was very good in the kibbutz. And so I used to go there many, many times from very, very young age to the kibbutz. And Walter was a very hard worker in the field and all that. And so he used to document all these things. He used to go, when he was a little older, he used to go to a place in a museum in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And in there was a special section that you could write documentary of what's going. And he used the old cards just to put them in. I mean, there was nobody at that time that did it besides him and another person. And when I came one day and I said, I'm a relative of Walter, they said, oh, Walter? Now you're telling us he's the greatest. So was a very, very special person, very kind to us. So whenever we went to Israel, Jared and me, or Jared and Amy, Walter always opened the door, says, listen, you can take this whole room, you can stay as long as you want. One condition, you take care of it. I'm not feeding you guys, I'm not doing anything. You do whatever you want. But he would he knew that Jared kept kosher, and he loved steaks, Walter, steak and beer, and usually he wouldn't eat kosher. He couldn't care less about kosher. But because of Jared, he would take him to an Argentinian restaurant, and Argentinians used to have the best meat.
They still do.
Yeah. so that's where Jared loved Walter, and they used to play a lot of chess. And Walter was very good in chess. So he wasn't as good as my dad, but he was very good. And so I don't remember who was winning whom here, Jared or Walter, but they always had tough games and so on and so forth. So my family wound up in Haifa. I have my cousins living in Haifa, Aviva, Eitan, and so on. And I had many spreading out in Jerusalem and in many, many other places. And each one had some difficult time during the war. Just to tell you one, during the war, 1947, 48, the Arabs completely blocked the road from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And at that time, the water source was in Jordan, part of Jordan, part of the old city in Jordan. So all the Jordanese did in order to make sure that the Jews are losing the battle there over Jerusalem, they stopped the water. There was no water. So who was left there was my cousin Mordechai and Chaim, and they were stuck in Jerusalem. And Mordechai, one of them, was actually hit by a shrapnel wound, and they didn't even have penicillin at that time. So it was really a very serious situation. And so, just to tell you a story, because they didn't have any water, my aunt, uh, Mordechai's mother, they had a big fish tank, aquarium in the house. So they used the water without fish. They used each day. They just drank a drop of water because they didn't have any water. So whatever was rainwater that came on the roof, that was gone. They used to store water on the roof from rain, and no water. So finally, Passover, 1948, Israel was able to stop the blockade in a very secret way and build another road parallel and be able to, and that time suddenly all the food came, gefilte fish, and because it was Passover, and matzah and everything came to Jerusalem. Meanwhile, my cousin was able to leave a little bit before. It was a terrible ordeal. They just without food, whatever, they were able to get finally to Tel Aviv. And he just told me the conditions were terrible. They used to convert buses into, instead of using a tank or instead of using some armored stuff, they would take buses and they would put metal shields. So a bus that is designed for 2 tons suddenly weighed 6 tons. And not only that, the windows, they put windows that made them very small so the fire shouldn't hit them. So you can imagine that they hardly were breathing till they finally were able to get to Tel Aviv. And he was sick because of his injury, but he survived.
Well,
So that's a story that happened in Jerusalem.